Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Matt. I just wanted to record a video talking about some of the 2020 releases that I am stupidly, ridiculously excited for. We have a list of maybe like 10, 15 books here, and I'm just going to run through some of the speculative ones that we're probably not getting this year, but we'll see. So to get these ones out of the way, so 5 books that I am excited for that might come out in 2020 are The Doors of Stone by Patrick Rothfuss, the 3rd book in the Kingkiller Chronicles. Probably not getting it this year, but who knows. Then we have The Winds of Winter by George R. R. Martin, A Song of Ice and Fire, obviously. Who knows? He said that I think it would be done by the time like Comic-Con comes around in the summer, but he said a lot of things, so I don't know if I trust that. Next up, we have The Thorn of Emberlane, which is the 4th book in Scott Lynch's Gentleman Bastard series that starts with the lies of Locke. This book was supposed to come out, I think, like 2 years ago, but I think, if I remember correctly, Scott Lynch got kind of sick and was dealing with some health issues while he was finishing editing the book, or something to that effect. Don't quote me on that, I might be wrong. But that currently has a 2020 release date, so I'd be incredibly happy if that came out this year. And by this year, I mean next year. After that, we have The God Is Not Willing, which is the 1st book in the Witness trilogy by Stephen Erickson, love of my life. This is the trilogy taking place after the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and it is going to focus on the incredible character Karsa Orlong. I am incredibly excited for that. Stephen Erickson released the prologue on his blog and on Facebook, and he's released some other tidbits from the book, and I'm just incredibly excited. I think it's available for pre-order, even though I'm pretty sure he's not done the book. But we'll see. We'll see if that comes out in 2020. And the last of these kind of speculative books that I'm actually like pretty sure we're going to get in 2020 is The Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, which is Stormlight number 4. I'm pretty sure we're getting this in 2020. I think I saw that like the cover was going to be revealed super soon, so I'm excited for that. I don't know how this dude pumps out books so fast. He writes like 2 books a year at least. Now, in pretty much no particular order, except for maybe the like last 3 that I'm the most excited for, we have, I think, 10 books here, and the first one is A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins. This takes place in the Hunger Games universe. I honestly don't know that much about it because I kind of want to go into it blind, but that is definitely coming out this year, and I'm really excited for that. And the cover's really pretty, I've seen it. Then we have The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. She's one of my favorite authors, definitely in my top 5. Her Broken Earth trilogy is iconic. It rocked the fantasy world, and is such a great series, and I've loved pretty much everything she's written. I love her Dream Blood duology too, and the 1st book in her Inheritance trilogy was fantastic. The others, not so much. But The City We Became seems very cool. I'm pretty sure it ties into one of the stories from her book, How Long Till Black Future Month. I've read a couple of them, but I haven't made my way entirely through the book yet. So when I get to that story, I'm going to be looking out for kind of tidbits from her upcoming book. Then there's a book called Lakewood by Megan Giddings. This is a book that is a debut, and it's kind of being sold as a story about class and race that is a mix of The Handmaid's Tale and The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. It deals with terrifying medical experimentation, and that's kind of all I really know about it, but I am very excited for it, and the cover looks beautiful. Very important. Another book I'm kind of excited about is Harrow the Ninth. Gideon the Ninth was a very weird, kind of interesting book. I feel like it technically had like a lot of problems, but I really enjoyed it for whatever reason, and I'm really curious to see how the story goes on from kind of the last chapter of that book. I'm kind of thrown as to what's going to happen coming up with Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, by the way. Another exciting one is A Trouble with Peace by Joe Abercrombie. This is his sequel to A Little Hatred, which is the 1st book in A Time of Madness, his new trilogy, or his new series set in the First Law universe. This takes place a generation after the events of First Law, and so it focuses on the younger generation, including like the Dogman's daughter, Glokta's daughter, etc. And the first book was absolutely fantastic. I love Sabine. She is as great a character as her father, and I'm super stoked for book two. One with a similar title is A Desolation Called Peace by Arkady Martin. This is the second book in the Takes Kalan series, and the first book is a memory called Empire, and that book really, really surprised me with how good it was. It was a debut, and so I was really shocked at the quality. Literally my only critique of the book is the time span that it took place in didn't really make sense for all the events going on. I think it takes place in like 5 days or like a week or something like that, and the story feels like it's taking place over the course of a month. And that just kind of makes more sense for the amount of development going on. You can't really do that much character development in a week, so that's my only real flaw that I could find. But the book really, really shocked me, and I would highly recommend it. I'm actually going to feature it in another underrated reads video because I don't think enough people are talking about it, and it was really, really great. One that I feel I've been waiting for a long time, but it really, I guess, hasn't been that long, is The Last Emperor by John Scalzi. The first book in that series is The Plapsine Empire, and it is hilarious. The humor is fantastic, and it's a really, really great story. It takes place in a world far in the future, and all of these kind of different solar systems are connected by essentially wormholes, and it seems like some of the wormholes are failing. And the fact that these are failing, and there's kind of like this exponential cascade of events getting worse, and so when all of these wormholes fall and all of these solar systems are completely cut off from each other, the interplanetary infrastructure is just going to collapse, and no one really knows how to deal with this situation. And it's quite political, but also super, super interesting. Book two really took things up a notch with the alien contact, I guess I'll call it. And The Last Emperor promises to be a fantastic conclusion, and I need it now. Right now. And the three books I'm most excited for, I cannot tell you how much I need these books. The first one is The Tyrant Baru Cormorant. The first book being The Traitor Baru Cormorant, the second book, The Monster Baru Cormorant. And let me tell you, I called that title for the third book. I just had something in my head. I could feel that the series was kind of feeling like a villain origin story in a way, and I just knew it was going to be called The Tyrant Baru Cormorant. So I want that on record. This is a series that takes place in a world that is dealing with colonialism. Baru is from this small polyamorous island community, and they are colonized by the Masquerade Empire. And the Masquerade is a very cold, sterile place. They have this kind of hegemony over all of these neighboring countries that they've kind of devoured. And the Masquerade sees Baru's people as savages, and so they're trying to educate them and lift them up. And Baru gets educated in a Masquerade school, realizes she's a savant, and is sent to be the imperial accountant of Arduin, which is one of the provinces of the Masquerade. And there she has to deal with the kind of political situation with the dukes and duchesses of Arduin, as well as a growing rebellion. And the title, The Traitor, is just very important in this first book. We don't know if Baru is a traitor to her own people, if she's infiltrating the Empire, if she's joining the rebellion to get back at the Empire, if she's joining the rebellion to solidify her place in the Empire. It's just all very interesting. I feel like even Baru herself doesn't quite know because of her conflicting loyalties. But it is a fantastic series. I need to definitely record a video when the third book comes out so I can talk about the series as a whole and recommend it, because I feel like more people need to read it, because I also feel like it's kind of important in terms of its quality. Second to last, we have The Girl and the Stars by Mark Lawrence. This takes place on Abeth. It is a sequel, or like a companion, I guess, to Red Sister. It takes place far in the future on another planet as people have left Earth. They've come to this planet and definitely regressed, and so it's a fantasy story, not really a sci-fi story. But on this world, Abath, ice has been closing in from either of the poles, and the only habitable land on Abath is a 50-kilometer ring around the equator of the planet. And that ring is kept intact by an orbiting satellite that every night passes by and kind of melts the ice on either edge. But because of the growing ice, there's this kind of squeeze that's happening, and it's creating a lot of strife for the kingdoms. And they have to figure out what's going on. Anyway, the book is really, really interesting. We get a lot of mystery set up in Red Sister. We definitely get some answers, but there's a lot more that I want to find out in his new series, and I can't wait for that. I lied, actually, there's one more. So in the real second place, there's Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett, and it is the sequel to Foundryside, which is this really, really cool series. The book is about a thief and deals with a heist, which is a setup that we've got time and time again. But this is a really cool world. It's controlled by all of these kind of different merchant houses, and so it feels almost like a corporocracy, I guess. I made that word up, but you know what I mean, hopefully. But what's very cool about this world is the magic system, which is scribing. So they're able to... Basically, the way I explain it is it feels, to me... This is definitely a fantasy world, but it feels to me like this story takes place in a simulation, and there used to be these all-powerful beings called the Aerophants, and they had insane control over the entire world. And so it feels almost to me like, since this book takes place in a simulation, us humans, I guess, who created this simulation are able to enter it and basically be gods in terms of the coding. And so the way the magic works is it feels a lot like coding. I'm not explaining this very well, but it's a really, really cool story. The pacing is done perfectly, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone who loves a heist. It's really, really good. And my number one most anticipated book of 2020 is Daughter from the Dark by Marina and Sergei Dyachenkos. I am beyond excited for this book, and I have news about this book, but I'm going to save it for later. I'm literally incapable of remembering the premise for this book. I've read it so many times, but it just doesn't stick in my head. But based on how much I love The Scar and Vita Nostra, I can't see myself disliking this book. I'm gonna read this premise for you because it's kind of crazy. I'll read it quickly. Late one night, fate brings together DJ Aspirin and 10-year-old Aliona. After he tries to save her from imminent danger, she ends up at his apartment. But in the morning, sinister doubts set in. Who is Aliona? A young con artist, a plant for a nefarious blackmailer, or perhaps a long-lost daughter Aspirin never knew existed? Whoever this young, mysterious girl is, she now refuses to leave. A game of cat and mouse begins. Claiming she's a musical prodigy, she insists that she must play a complicated violin piece to find her brother. Confused and wary, Aspirin knows one thing. He wants her out of his apartment and his life. Yet every attempt to get rid of her is thwarted by an unusual protector, her plush teddy bear that may just transform into a fearsome monster. Aliona tells Aspirin that if he would just allow her to do her work, she'll leave him and this world. He can then return to the shallow life he led before her. But as outside forces begin to coalesce, threatening to finally separate them, Aspirin makes a startling discovery about himself and this ethereal, eerie child. Very weird premise, but I need it in my life now, and I will be sure to review it as soon as it comes out, if not before. I need this book so badly, you have no idea. But those are some of the top books that I'm really excited for to come out in 2020. I'm sure there are tons more, so let me know down in the comments any books that you are super excited about, and I'll add them to my TBR. That is insane and ever growing. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think, and I would appreciate if you like to share this video. Have a good one. Later.